My name is Lindsey Curnutte, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values. Hello, welcome back. On today's episode of On Air with Heritage Action, we are joined by Nathan Duell. He is the Western Regional Coordinator for Heritage Action. Nathan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
Yeah, so you're responsible for really the grassroots outreach and the activists along the West Coast in those states. But today we're going to be talking about your home state of Arizona and a lot of the important work that they're doing at the state legislature and why it's so important to be engaged in your state and be engaged in that activism. So there's a lot of issues that Arizona is dealing with this year, but of most importance, I'd argue, is election integrity. Arizona's passed a lot of great reforms last year, but they're still working on that. So tell us about what's going on a little bit and some activists that's going on in Arizona.
Yeah, election integrity is such a crucial issue for the state of Arizona and all across the country. And election integrity is one of those issues where every single state has room for improvement. There are things that they can do to make it better. And right now in Arizona, we have Sentinels and other Heritage Action activists who are showing up to testify in committee. They're emailing their legislators, making phone calls, and making sure that this important issue is heard.
So one thing that I think is really great that our activists and yourself take part in is giving testimony and appearing before a committee. So you actually gave some testimony in Arizona. I think it was in front of the Education Committee. Yeah, about a different issue. But when I hear appearing in front of a committee or giving testimony, it just sounds a little daunting to me, and I can imagine others as well. So talk about that. Or is anyone able to go in front of a committee, testify about what's going on? What's the process there?
Yeah, it depends on your state. In certain states like Arizona, it's very simple. You sign up and you show up to testify before the committee. And there are some quick tips that help you make it an effective argument. You want to stay within the 2-minute time frame if that's what they allot you. You want to stick to the talking points that are relevant to the bill, and then making sure that it has a personal impact to you and you're sharing your story and how the bill impacts your life. Those are some great quick ways to stay on message and give effective testimony.
Yeah, and testimonies are just so important. I mean, it increases your activism. You can talk to your legislators, of course, and tweet and send letters, but really appearing before the committee, letting your voice be heard is so impactful. It's just such a great American way to really practice your activism and get these conservative values across the line. So Arizona is really big with the election integrity issue right now. Like I mentioned before, they passed a lot of really great bills last session. But there's a lot of new bills they want to keep improving upon and make sure their elections are secure, making sure it's easy to vote, hard to cheat. So give us the state of play. What's left to be done in Arizona? I know there's a lot of room for improvement across the country, but let's talk about Arizona and what's going on day to day there.
Yeah, Arizona, we made a lot of good progress last session. Passed some bills that were signed into law that are now making our elections more secure, but there's plenty of more work to do. Right now, the committees are hearing bills, and there are dozens and dozens going through committee, making it out that will then get a floor vote, then it'll go over there to the other chamber. But some of the things that we have left to do this session are comprehensive voter roll maintenance and databases. That's one very important one, as well as making sure that drop boxes are monitored. And then also making sure that same-day voter registration is prohibited. Those are a few of the quick ones that we're working on.
Yeah, and they already have voter ID, I'm assuming, right?
We don't. We have a ballot initiative that's coming this year. So in 2022, voters will get to vote on voter ID for anyone who votes in the state of Arizona.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's just such a common sense way to secure elections, make sure cheaters aren't cheating, and it's just so popular with Americans. So that's great to hear. A lot of those other election security measures are great to hear as well. But that's great. Arizona is just one of those states that are really working on making sure their elections are secure. You can, of course, if you're in Arizona, get involved, kind of look at what bills are going through the legislature there and figure that out. But either way, if you're not in Arizona, if you're in another state that wants to kind of secure their elections, you can go to saveourelections.com. We have a list of different states where you can take action and urge your state legislators to support these measures. Or there's ways to thank other legislatures in places like Texas for passing great election security reform. So that's great. I'm excited to keep this going and keep fighting for election security. So Nathan, thanks for sharing your insight about Arizona, and it's great to have you in DC. You're usually out in Arizona.
I am. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources that we're providing, please take just 1 minute and help us spread the word. So follow, like, subscribe, and share this episode of On Air with Heritage Action with your friends and family on social media or even over email or text. We need your help to get others involved in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting app on your smartphone. So in-app, you're going to search for On Air with Heritage Action and subscribe so you can download episodes and listen on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.